With the NBA trade deadline just around the corner, something huge could be brewing in Dallas. Just the other day, a report came out highlighting how the Dallas Mavericks are one of the most active teams amongst the league when it comes to trade talks. And on this channel, we've gone over how the Dallas Mavericks could really improve at the power forward position and how we need to find an upgrade from Maxi Kleber. But in this report, it shows that the Dallas Mavericks could also be looking to trade Quentin Grimes. So in this video, we're going to take a look at those reports. How well has Quentin Grimes been playing for the Dallas Mavericks? And is this a route that the Dallas Mavericks should actually take? But how's it going, everybody? My name is Marcel Martin. This is Mavericks Digest, bringing the latest news on everything Mavericks related. And before we get started with today's video, we're currently sitting at 16,493 subscribers, getting very close to 17K. But if you're enjoying everything that we're doing here at Mavericks Digest, with our watch-alongs, our live streams, our giveaways, the news vids just like this, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on a single thing that we do. But like we've said several times on this channel, the Dallas Mavericks could desperately see an upgrade from Maxi Kleber at the power forward position. As we currently stand, we don't have Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving, and that's obviously a big blow to the roster. But another loss to the roster that we've seen throughout the season has been whenever PJ is out of the roster for any given night, and we have to rely on Maxi Kleber, and obviously we see how that's a big drop from PJ to Maxi. And there's plenty of players that are currently available that the Dallas Mavericks could go after, and in this report that came out just the other day, highlights, it's saying Brian Windhorst says that the Mavericks have been one of the most active teams on the phone this trade season. He says that that Maxi Kleber and Quentin Grimes are players who have a market when it comes to Mavs trade assets. Now, I'm not too sure what that trade market looks for Maxi. I'm not sure if we're trading one trash for someone else's trash. But we've talked about on this channel before how we don't really have a lot of trade assets. I mean, we got Maxi, Dwight Powell, we got Jaden Hardy, we got Omax. We've got a couple first-round picks that aren't really that high of a first-round pick and several second-round picks that we could use. And when we look at certain players that we could go after, like a Cam Johnson, a Herb Jones if he was available, or even Isaiah Stewart, we would easily get outbid from other teams that are also trying to contend and improve their roster. And in the case of Cam Johnson, we've heard how the Thunder are one of the teams that are looking to trade for him aggressively, and they have a boatload of first-round picks and a couple young players, and they could actually make that trade happen today. But to see that Quentin Grimes' name is also being tossed around in trade talks doesn't necessarily surprise me. Now, I don't want to see Quentin Grimes gone. I love the way that he's been playing lately in the absence of Kyrie and Luka. He looks like a really good addition to this Dallas Mavericks team and someone that just gels very well with the roster, and I love to see him long term. But if we want to live in reality, that could actually happen. Quentin Grimes did deny a contract extension going into this season, opting in to play for a bigger contract. And they did report that the contract offered to him was similar to that of what Najee Marshall's making, about 3 years, $27 million, which is also similar to what we offer Derrick Jones Jr. But the way that Quentin Grimes is currently playing, which is out of this world right now, he could be improving his trade stock. And come the offseason, Quentin Grimes could actually be commanding a bigger contract in the open market. Now, Quentin Grimes is a restricted free agent, so whatever offer sheet he gets from him and his agent, we can match that. The Dallas Mavericks are right below that first apron, possibly stepping over it in the offseason when we try to re-sign certain players like Kyrie Irving. And if the Dallas Mavericks don't want to go that far over the apron, they may look to trade Quentin Grimes, a player, like I said, who's building up his own stock, who we don't want to see just walk for nothing in the offseason. But we could bundle him up with Maxi. That way you don't lose Quentin Grimes for nothing, you get rid of Maxi, and you get back a player of equal value but is on a longer term contract, which also opens up the possibility of re-signing Kyrie Irving on a bigger deal. We did get a report over the summer that Kyrie Irving plans to opt out of his player option and re-sign for a bigger deal. And we don't have that many players on expiring contracts outside of Quentin Grimes. It's Dante Exum and Spencer Dinwiddie, two guys that are on minimum contracts, and honestly could probably let Dante Exum go and re-sign Spencer Dinwiddie. He's been playing amazing for us. Hopefully Dante, when he comes back, he also plays great, but I think Spencer, just how he's been so far, available, obviously that's no fault to Dante, but the fact that Spencer has been available and has been playing well above how much we pay him, obviously he would be one of the players that we prioritize on that list of coming back. But if we take a look right here, this was reported not too long ago that the Mavericks are a team to watch as buyers on the trade market. Dallas has shown a willingness to discuss trade compensation and exploratory talks to land an impact addition. Keep an eye on the Mavericks 2025 first-round pick potentially being used before the trade deadline, which is a good thing that we didn't use any of our first-round picks over the summer. Nico Harrison did an amazing job of improving this roster well before the start of the season. to leave himself with assets to use come trade deadline if things fall apart, like injuries, like sickness, like the Mavs going from the 4th seed down to the 7th seed, and now we're currently in the 5th seed. But if we take a look back at this report, the Dallas Mavericks roster hole is a defensive wing. Now, I'd argue we have Najee Marshall, we have Quentin Grimes, two guys that are good at being defensive wings, but understand they're not a Derrick Jones Jr., they're not a Cam Johnson, they're not a Herb Jones, so I understand that we could definitely improve it in that aspect. But what they have to trade, they have 2 tradable firsts and 2 seconds. Big man Maxi Kleber, who's making $11 million, and Quentin Grimes, who's making $4 million, are players who have a market. Now, I understand the way Quentin Grimes has been playing so far lately, out of this world, definitely does have a market. Maxi, I'm not too sure what that market looks like. That looks more like a player we're just trying to get rid of. You throw Quentin Grimes in there, who's been playing very well, just to try to sweeten the deal. Maybe a first, maybe a second round pick, maybe a pick swap. But Maxi's contract doesn't expire until after next year, so he has one more year after this season before it expires. So maybe a team looks at the long term like, okay, it's not expiring this year, but then next year it's expiring. You probably move him even easier next year. So instead of us having to sit on it, you have someone else sit on that contract. But the chances of a significant trade, possible. GM Nico Harrison has shown himself to be aggressive at the deadline, and last year's acquisition of PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford helped the Mavs run to the finals. Dallas has been one of the most active teams on the phones for this trade season, and obviously there's a bunch of players whose names have been going everywhere that every team would obviously want. If we take a look right here, those names would be obviously Herbert Jones, Isaiah Stewart, Bobby Portis, Aaron Nesmith, and Cam Johnson. And those 5 players are each players that we could definitely use on this team. Now, like I said, I don't want to lose Quentin Grimes. I don't want to see him walk in free agency for nothing. I also don't want to see us trade him. The way that he's been playing lately, the way that he just improved his game ever since he became a Dallas Maverick, I would love to see him find a home here in Dallas after New York traded him to Detroit, the place where we sent Tim Hardaway Jr. That's not how you treat a young player like Quentin Grimes, who has a lot of potential. If we take a look at his stats for the season, so far this year, it doesn't look like it's anything too crazy, but he is averaging 10 points, 4 rebounds, 1.9 assists per game, 0.3 blocks, 0.6 steals, 1.2 turnovers, 1.6 fouls, and while shooting 46% from the field and 39% from 3. Very good numbers for a role player, especially someone who's young and upcoming and looking to improve his own game. But if we look a little bit closer here, these are his stats from his last several games, where he had 23 points last night against the Los Angeles Lakers in a huge win coming off the bench for us, where he shot 6 of 11 from 3. In the game prior, he had 9 points, but then he had 26 the game before, 17, 11, 15, 8, and 10. So obviously Quentin Grimes is starting to find a rhythm where he has these very nice runs. Sometimes he falls behind, but then he bounces right back in the next game. His three-point shot has been amazing. I've been calling him a mini Clay, the way he shoots the 3 ball, but also how he plays defense on the wings, the way he facilitates. Quentin Grimes is an amazing player for the Dallas Mavericks. Like I said, I want him to find his forever home, at least for the meantime, with the Mavericks while we stay competitive, while we're trying to find ways to make it back to the finals. But I also understand that these guys want to get paid, and if we don't want to go that deep into the first or second apron, we are very likely to lose Quentin Grimes for nothing. And I really don't want to have a whole nother situation like we had with Jalen Brunson, where he walked for nothing. And although we did end up getting Kyrie Irving, where we pivoted from that loss, I don't want to have to see us make too many pivots because we don't choose to keep quality talent. If we take a look right here, PJ Washington on Quentin Grimes. Last night, after the win against the Los Angeles Lakers, PJ Washington had this to say, saying, "I always tell him to be aggressive. He's my locker mate. I always encourage him, tell him to be himself, and I'm just proud of him. Just his work ethic and how much he wants it. Obviously, be like a big brother to him." Washington also talks about how he hosted Grimes when he visited Kentucky, but he ultimately ended up choosing Kansas. Obviously, PJ Washington and Quentin Grimes have a very good relationship, but that's not the only person who has a good relationship with Quentin Grimes. Also, Jason Kidd had this to say, saying, "We're relying on him heavily to be able to be patient, to understand a new system. He's shooting the ball. He's driving the ball. One thing we don't talk about enough is his ability to come back and help us rebound. I love the bounce back game he had tonight. He's a great teammate and a great player to coach." And I think Jason Kidd is right. That's one of the things that we don't talk about enough is his ability to rebound. Obviously, we talk about PJ Washington, his ability to rebound, and how that's very important for the Dallas Mavericks. But the way Quentin Grimes can also get rebounds, the way Quentin Grimes shoots the ball, the way that Quentin Grimes can just be a great teammate off the bench for this team could definitely help us in a deep playoff run. And if that doesn't really bloom to fruition this season, then the upcoming seasons, Quentin Grimes is a player you want to keep, not trade away. But like I said, the Dallas Mavericks have a need at that front court position, that backup power forward. So I understand that when you don't really have too many attractive trade assets, you have Maxey, Dwight Powell, you got Omax, Jaden Hardy, 2 first rounds and some seconds. That might not be enough to outbid all these other very competitive teams who are also looking to improve the same way we are. If we take a look, I want to bring this back up. Herb Jones, a player who obviously New Orleans said that they're not looking to trade, but if you give him something that they can't refuse, maybe they make that trade. There's Isaiah Stewart, a player that a lot of fans, including some of you guys watching this video, would love to have Isaiah Stewart. Beef stew is what they call him. He could be a good backup for us as well. Bobby Portis is a name I've seen float around. Aaron Naismith and obviously Cam Johnson, who I think the Dallas Mavericks could definitely use. But I understand that they obviously want 2 first-round picks or a good young prospect. That might be too much for us, and we could easily get outbid by the other teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder. At the end of the day, Nico Harrison has a tough decision to make to improve this roster. Yes, we have injuries. Yes, we have guys sick, and that the team just can't stay together 100%. It's not anyone's fault of their own. These things just happen, but it is Nico's job to improve this roster wherever he sees any holes. And like the report said, the Dallas Mavericks have been one of the most active teams on the phones trying to make a deal done. So don't be surprised if come February or by the deadline, Quentin Grimes does get traded. But if we do keep Quentin Grimes, I'll be happy, and that does show that we will be offering him a contract in the upcoming offseason. I doubt we let him walk for nothing. I doubt we don't match any offer sheet, even if that pushes us into the apron, into the first or second apron. I don't care. This team is good when healthy and all together. We can be a contender in the upcoming seasons. We just got to bring it together. Nico Harrison has a really tough job on his hands on how to improve this team and keep the guys together and keep that chemistry alive, but I know that he's going to do it, and like they say, in Nico we trust. But let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think that Quentin Grimes will get traded? Do you think that we should keep him? Do you think we should move him? Let me know what you think. We'd have a conversation about it. But that's what I got for you guys today. Thanks for making this far to the video. Make sure to check out our Twitter and Discord. Links in the description below. Consider becoming a channel member. We are doing giveaway every single month on this channel. Only way to enter our giveaways is to become a channel member of any tier. But until next time, y'all take care. Drink water. Peace.